Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for being here. Well, Microsoft just showed off the Xbox Series S, which is the lower end version of the new console that's going to be coming out. I thought I would take a few minutes to go ahead and fill you in on the details and tell you why I think it's a better deal to go with the Xbox Series X, which is the higher end version. Alright, let's talk about this thing. So, I have to point out first that things can change. They might introduce some new information that might, change my mind, and so maybe I'll feel differently a month from now. But as of right now, I think the Xbox Series X is the better bang for your buck if you can afford that. Alright, let's get the pricing out of the way right away. So the Xbox Series X is $499 and the Xbox Series S is $299, so $500 and $300. All right, let's talk about some of the details. So first of all, let's talk about the looks. Tell me this thing doesn't look like a Wisecam pan. Also, I think I had a subwoofer in a truck once that looked very similar to this thing on its side. That said, I do think that the design is pretty cool. It's pretty simplistic. I like the black circle. I can see why they made it black instead of white, because on the Xbox Series S, maybe they were thinking that it shows dirt more than this flat black would. They also talked about this Xbox Ultimate Game Pass and the Xbox All Access, which I have to do more research on. At first I was really excited because I thought it looked like they were giving it to you for free for 24 months because it said, get it for 24 months, and then I looked and I think it's for $24.99 or something like that per month. So maybe it'll go up after that. I don't know. I was really excited at first because I thought they were going to give it to us for free for a couple years, which would be really cool. By the way, Microsoft, if you did that, I think people would clamor for this thing. Alright, so let's talk about the differences between these two machines, the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. Now, we've already talked about the price. One is $500, the other one is $300. Next up is the physical size. You can see that the Xbox Series S is a lot smaller than the Xbox Series X. So if space is a constraint for you, then the Xbox Series S may be the way to go. The next difference that a lot of people are probably going to be talking about is the graphics power. So the difference is that they say that the Xbox Series S is roughly a third of the graphics power of the Xbox Series X. And what that is going to translate to is, instead of 4K resolution, which is 2160p with the Xbox Series X, the Xbox Series S is going to be 1440p. Both consoles are going to be capable of doing 120 frames per second, which is how many a frame is the still pictures. So video is made up of multiple still pictures being drawn on the screen over and over, and your brain interprets that as motion. The Xbox Series X is going to have a resolution of 3840 by 2160. The Xbox Series S is going to have a resolution of 2560 by 1440. What that translates to is the Xbox Series X is going to have over 8 million pixels, and the Xbox Series S is going to have just over 3.5 million pixels. So you'll still be able to play all the same games, you'll still have the high frame rates, you'll still have a lot of that good stuff, but the difference will be the resolution. So the next difference is that the Xbox Series S will have no physical disk drive. So you won't be able to put any DVDs, Blu-rays, or physical game discs in the machine. Everything you do will be digital downloads. This may not be a big deal to some people, but for me, it is kind of an issue because there might be games that I don't want to play right away, and I don't necessarily want to pay full price for them. So I like the option of maybe being able to go on eBay or to a garage sale or whatever and finding games that someone is done with and I can buy for $5 instead of paying $60 for it. If you were able to do that 4 times and save $50 on those games. Instead of paying $60, pay less than $10. You did that 4 times, you would pay for the difference in the price between the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. And that won't be an option with the Xbox Series S because there's no disk drive. On a side note, if you're thinking about getting a PlayStation 5, I think that's even more of a no-brainer because Sony showed off a version that has a disk drive and one that doesn't. And they said that everything else inside of the machine is the same. So, my bet would be that the difference in price is probably not going to be much more than $50. And so at that point, you might as well just pay the extra $50 and have the extra benefit of having that disk drive. The biggest difference to me is the storage capacity. The Xbox Series S is going to come with 500 gigabytes of storage. The Xbox Series X is going to come with a terabyte of storage, so twice as much. Now 500 gigabytes might sound like a lot of storage, but when you think about it, they say that the average game for the Xbox One is 50 to 60 gigabytes, and they say that the enhanced ones for the Xbox One X are significantly bigger. So if you do the math, 500 gigabytes divided by 50 gigabytes means 10 games. Now that's at the most that you'll be able to fit on those because that's the minimum size that those will be. If those are bigger, and likely they'll be bigger, and likely you'll have updates and downloads that go along with those, so you're likely to get 8 or less games on here. So if you wanted to put a new game on there every month and you got this in November, you're likely going to want to upgrade by the time you hit around June or so. You can always add external storage to this thing, but then the problem is you're limited to the speed of the USB connection. You won't have the extra benefit of the speed of that connection between the internal drive and the CPU and GPU. What that's likely to translate to in the real world is longer loading times when you're using the external drive versus when you are using that built-in internal drive. So the bottom line on this thing to me is that if you can't afford the $500 for the Xbox Series X, then sure, go ahead, get the Xbox Series S. If you ever want to, you can possibly sell it and then just buy the Xbox Series X later on. Maybe it'll even be cheaper. Or if you have space constraints like a small apartment or a dorm, then sure, go ahead and get the Xbox Series S because it's going to fit in a lot smaller spaces. But if you're not space constrained and you can afford the $500, I absolutely think that that extra $200 is worth it. And I would definitely recommend spending the extra $200 and getting the Xbox Series X over the Xbox Series S. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks so much for stopping by and watching the video. See you next time. Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for being here. Well, Microsoft just showed off the... I can't even get through the intro. Okay. Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for being here. Well, Microsoft just showed off the... doing it again. Here. Well, Microsoft just showed off the Xbox Series S. And I thought I would take the time to take... this fall, and I thought I would take a few minutes. It's great, which I shouldn't have this stuff on here because it's blocking the yeah. That said, I do think that I think that's what it was called. Shoot. And the last difference is the big one for me. Push my glasses up. That the enhanced ones for the Xbox Series, I messed that up. Doobly-doo, is it still going? It is. Cool, I think. Looks like it. Yeah. Alright. Giggity.